Let's do this. It's time to check what's going on in the jungle grow room, because that's what we're going to call it. Welcome to the jungle. The Prof's got fun and games. There's something very special coming, Prof, in the next couple of days, but I think this is special enough. I must say, I am a little bit proud. And it's been a lot of work. But when you put in work, life has this funny way of paying you back. Have a look at the new leaf on this thing. The mint is just next level. Wait till that hardens up and the green comes through. Look how dirty this is. I've got to give them a clean. Look at this one here. She's also blessed us with a new leaf. This plant here I absolutely love, because I love my plants that have highly block on one side and greener leaves on the other side. It just balances everything out and everything works beautifully. As you can probably see from the last video, a few things have changed. I've added a new light. Here we had different plants and I've reset everything. I have done so much work in the last week or two in here. It is nothing like it was. So what I like to do in my walkthroughs is try and show you some changes from the last time. So let's start with these plants here. Look. We've got a new leaf on this one there. That is going to be crackers. Everything here got reset. There we've got another leaf coming through. Here we've got another leaf coming through. What I did is I put sticks in to hold the plants up. As you know, I don't use moss poles on these plants. Instead, I guide all of the roots into the pots. What I also do is, see that cable tie just there? That's only there for a day or two just to bring this closer, because that leaf was rubbing on this. And if we let it rub, we're going to get a little black mark on it. So you'll find that I use cable ties to move them out of the way. Let's talk about these ones here. These are tip cuttings that have been propagating and have just gone into their pots. You will find that on tips. Very often I take the new leaf off because they get damaged. So I do want to show you today. See this one here? Nothing to be worried about. And this is what I mean. See that leaf there? It's beautiful, yeah? It's beautiful and everything, but now it's got a big brown mark on it, and we're going to get many more like it. So this is what the Prof does. You go, see that little V there? Up to this point, we're safe. Below that point, we're now going to wreck the next leaf, and we don't want to do that. So what we do is we use our nail, and we just break it just here. And I do that with tips. You will find that I do that earlier because I know that it's more than likely going to happen. So a lot of the time I remove the tips on. Let's find one that I already did it to. I have to go too far, and there's one. So you'll find that I do that with tips because it also takes away, once that leaf gets damaged, this thing is trying to repair it, and we want all of the energy to go into creating roots. We're going to get a beautiful leaf out of that. Yep. So we don't have to be worried. There's nothing to worry about. Everything is okay. Everything keeps growing beautifully, and it's something that I do a lot of. Let's have a look at something else. No one would have bought that off me. And yet, look, can you see the variegation that's coming through on that? That's going to be absolutely nuts. I can show you another one. Would you pay me $150 for this one? Look at the beautiful stem. It's all green. Why do I keep these? Because I know better. Yes, look at that. I knew that no one would buy this. Oh, that's the Mr. Green. That's not gonna produce a good plant. The know-it-alls. Oh, no, don't buy that. My God, can you believe it's asking you $100 for that? And then it does this. And it's a freaking block half moon. You've really just got to know. Yeah? Normally I would say to you, don't buy that off someone. Because they only have one plant. I don't. I've got millions of them. And every single plant. See this beautiful big cracker? I bet you if we go down, we're going to find one leaf on it somewhere that's not as good. That one. Maybe there's one that's even worse. That one. Look, if you had have bought that, you're going to get that. Look at this. What did I start this from? Let's have a look. Look at these down here. They're nothing special, but they're going to also produce amazing plants. When you understand how the genetics work, you understand and you start to produce amazing plants because you start to propagate the best of what you have over and over and over again to the point where you get genetics that are so stable that any one of these plants, all of these greener ones are gonna turn into block plants. I'm not an idiot. I'm not keeping them wasting my money on electricity for nothing. I love you because you're gonna be a cracker. I know it. All of these down here, these are all crackers in the making, and I know that none of you would want to buy them. But you're going to watch my updates and you're going to see them all turn into crackers and you're all going to go like, unbelievable. But if this was one of someone else, I wouldn't be saying the same thing. I'd be saying, don't buy it, run away from it, quick. Because they're not working the genetics the way that I do. These all came from 3 freaking plants. So that's how I know they're going to be all amazing, because they're all growing from amazing plants already. Now let me show you something a little bit special. I have been working on my tetraspermas, and very soon my tetraspermas are going to be as beautiful as my block albos. Look at that. And this will explain to you a little bit about how I end up with that. I started with, I think, I kept about 4 of these. The rest I sold. I kept the best ones. And then I started propagating them, multiplying them. But I don't propagate everything. I only propagate the very best. And now I am starting to get to the point where I am getting really beautiful, stable genetics. This is the beautiful mint. That leaf there started as yellow ghost white, but they turn minty green over time. And you've just got to be careful with them. Otherwise they'll turn brown on you before they turn green. And I have so many of these coming through. Now see this here. Look how far we've come in just a few days. 1, 2, look at them. They're all going to turn into little plants. All of these things here, they're all going to do this. Let's take it over where we can see. See how I let them grow off the stem. So that's one plant. There's another one. And what I do is I wait until they get a little bit bigger and they grow some roots, and then I take it off. So I'm waiting for all of these other ones to grow as well. And I don't just do that with tetraspermas. So when you see these like this, it's all on purpose. Keep one leaf, and I let it all grow back. Like these things are next level. I needed more grow room space, so we turned that into a little grow room space. We've got under here, we've got here, there, and there. So what we're going to do now is, I think this will be something that will hopefully teach you quite a little bit about what we're doing. Let's talk about light. Okay, let's hope that this works and that you can see what I can see, because I've got you on a new GoPro type setup, and let's hope that this works. How do I work out where to put the lights, how to space them out, how to make sure that all the plants are getting enough light, and how do I get the best out of the lights? So what I'm going to talk to you about, hopefully, is going to demystify things for you and make it easy for you to relate this back to whatever light you have at your home. So first of all, let's talk about light and how we measure light. Okay, so what you're looking at here is two different light meters. This is a lux meter. So this is very old. This is the very first one I ever got. This is the new and more expensive ppfd meter. Lux, ppfd, just think centimeters and millimeters is to distance. Lux and ppfd is measuring units that we use for light. Lux measures light from our point of view. So light is either bright or dark. From a human eye point of view, that's the only thing that matters to us. Can we see with the light that we're using? And you will find that the new light bulbs, when you go and buy them, all say lux, L-U-X, 10,000 lux, 20,000 lux. Yep. The problem with these became that they don't work with all types of lights. They work with the old school light bulbs, but they don't work with the new LED lights, rendering them useless because most of us are using LED lights today. The only thing you can use is a ppfd meter when using LED lights. A ppfd meter will measure globes, LEDs. This will do sunlight. It will do any light. And it doesn't measure it from our eyes' point of view of darkness and brightness. It measures it from a plant's point of view, and it's actually measuring the photons that are falling from the light that the plant can use to do photosynthesis with. So it's a much better way of measuring light from what we're trying to achieve here, which is not just brightness, it's really money. Are we spending money on something that is making us feel like it's doing something? Or are we actually spending money on something that the plant is able to do something with? That's two very different things. So let's start first of all at numbers. If we were outside right now and it was the middle of the day, we wouldn't want to have these plants in the sunlight because we'd come back and they're all sunburned. We need to find the best shade for these plants. Nature is actually quite unforgiving. Nature is actually really cruel. When you look at nature, not everything survives. I've just had a litter of puppies. And I can tell you, if I wasn't here to help, half of the litter would have died. They needed help. I needed to get them going. So I had to talk to the vet, and the vet said, you're 100% right. In nature, not all animals make it. If they have 10, they'd be happy if 3 or 4 actually made it, because they've got other animals that come along, and there's all sorts of different things. If we then take that back to the plant, nature is also very, very cruel to the plants, because plants grow wherever they grow. They can't get up and move. So if these plants happen to grow in the best environment, they're going to grow very differently to the same plant if it happens to be born in no shade and it's all daylight and it gets burnt. If you grow these plants in the perfect environment in the rainforest, in the tropical rainforests of Brazil and South America, in the Amazon, and you get these plants growing in the right environment, the leaves grow to be huge, like mine. Why are my leaves so big? Because I'm giving the plant the perfect environment. And I can control that because we can now control the weather with the technology that we have available to us. So if we went to look at, I'll do this tomorrow, but if we went to the best shade spot, if we chose what we think this is the best spot to put my Monstera, it would be somewhere where it gets shade, but that shade is bordering on sunlight. Like, we wouldn't want them deep in the shade where it's dark, moist, cold. We want it to be like just in the shade, but we wouldn't want them getting direct sun. Yep. In numbers, that equates to around 350 ppfd. Between 2,000 and 2.5 ppf, that's middle of the day, sunlight in summer, you're in the middle of the cricket field, you're getting cooked. There is no sunlight. You're at the beach on Bondi, you're getting cooked. That's around 2,500 ppfds. That's why if you get an 80% shade cloth, that's the perfect one for our plants if it's in the sun, because that 2,000 turns into 20% is 400 to about, it drops. Sorry, if it's 2,000 and we get 80% shade cloth, it's going to drop to around 400, which is what we're looking for. Yep. And if we don't do that, our plants will start to look like this. And no, we don't chop the leaf off, just leave it. It'll fall off when the time comes. See this one? That one also got burnt outside in the last week. Just left it outside in the sun. Even the winter sun will do that to you. So we're looking for around 350, 400 tops. And this is where everything changes. Outside, the sun goes up, the sun goes down. It's only in the middle of the day that they get that perfect 350, 400. During the morning, it's on its way up to that. And after that, it's on its way down from that. But we can give these plants that perfect 350 24/7. Well, not 24/7. I've got mine at the moment 18 hours on, 6 hours off. So I want the plants to be getting somewhere between 50 and 400 tops. So first of all, let's turn it on and let's have a little bit of a wander and let's see what they're getting. So let's start here with these girls here. What are they getting? Let's see, can you see that? That's telling me right now it's getting 200, and if you can't see it, I can tell you it's saying 270-ish. Perfect. Let's check down here. That's a little bit lower. 130. So that would be like, it's still okay, but it's a little bit low. But Adansonis actually prefer less light. So with Adansonis, I'm okay at around 200. I wouldn't want it to be below 100. Let's have a look at these Tetraspermus and this Friday. 250. So it's just in that sort of frame. Yep. Let's have a look at these guys over here. Whoa. Look at the distance between that light and the plants. It's not a lot. And yet, that's bordering on too much. Imagine the other lights that you buy, those little halo things. I promise you, they're not doing anything. The only thing they're doing is making you feel like it's doing something, and then all these people jump on and talk about them online, and everyone is getting sold things that do hardly anything. These are proper grow lights. Look, let's have a look at this one here. 180, that's okay. It's Adansoni's. I would like it a little bit higher. What about over here? Look at that big globe, surely with the big one. Like, that's massive. Look, 400 watts, surely. I bet you it's not doing that much at all. Look, can you see that? 100. 100. Because I've turned it down, so we're going to turn it back up. I turned it down thinking I could save some electricity. Back up you go, back up to 600. What I now want to show you is, look at how close these plants are to this LED. That close. So imagine if you had this one up there somewhere with your plants, they're doing nothing. They make you feel like they're doing something. This one's here, that close is giving me 430, a little bit too much. So I should have a little bit more distance. The problem is that that's in the middle. As soon as you get to the edge, they drop like I showed you over there. So on the edge, it's only getting 140. And that's that close. So imagine if you had it, well, let's look at this one up here. Yep, look at the distance there. Let me just get the camera right. There. Let's get that a little bit right. Oh, sorry guys, that'll work. So the distance there is about, I don't know, 30 centimeters. I don't have the ruler with me, but it's no more than that. And they're only getting 120, which is okay, but it's the minimum. Yep, the minimum. So I hope this is showing you how, let me just grab the phone, how if you had a light here, which most people do, and then they have plants way over here and they think that it's doing something. It's not. It's doing something to you in the head. It's making you feel like it's doing something. And if you give a plant any light, even a normal light bulb, it's going to respond to it. So that's why I always say, unless, if you're going to get something, spend the money and get, they're only $100. These ones here are only about $80, and they work as long as they're close to the plant. The others that you can get, halos on those things, like honestly, I see some houses where they've got 1 million of them all around the house, and I think to myself, it's just doing something to your eye. You could also just have a light bulb there and it would be doing exactly the same thing. That's what I mean. These guys down here even, they're going to be lacking, so they're there for a little while. But they do their job, don't get me wrong. It's better than nothing. And they work really well with plants like Adansoni's that don't need a lot of light. And they work really well as long as you keep them close to your plant and as long as your plants are short. There is no way you're ever going to grow these things using those LEDs. See this one here? Look how close I've got it. But if I didn't have all these other lights, that light would be giving this leaf, the top 2 leaves would be getting light. The ones down there, they wouldn't be getting anything. So on big plants like this, those lights don't work because you don't get penetration. They're good for situations like this, where you've got small, see, look at this silver sword, it's loving it. Yep, but if we let this silver sword grow to this size, the only leaves, the leaves at the top would be loving it, all the bottom ones would be lacking. If you want to grow big leaves, you need to give the plants a lot of energy because they need to turn that energy into the big leaves. You would get these big leaves if the plant was growing in exactly the right spot in the Amazon. If it wasn't in exactly the right spot, it wouldn't be getting them. The only thing I can do is show you what I do to achieve what you see. And I wouldn't be who I am if I didn't say something about the incredible products that I use. And right now, I'm going to talk about two. Well, let's talk about three. Sure. 1 second. Professor Monstera Method's feed has these three products in it. And if you want to have what you see here, you need to get ASOS into your growing program. ASOS is going to take care of the roots. It's going to make sure that your plants have the root system to produce these crackers. Have a look at the size of the pots that these things are in. They're huge, like a tree, because the root systems to have a plant that big have to be huge. Think of plants like a high-rise building. The lower you go, the higher you can go. The bigger the roots, the bigger the plant. Also, ASOS is what you call a natural growth promoter. NGP. And that means it makes things big. So it helps you get these big leaves. The other one is Mycos. Mycos WP. It's a fungus. I'll explain how this works. Some would say, why do you have to feed so often when the cocoa is still wet? Let me explain why. Cocoa is different to soil. So when we put the feed in, we're putting in the nutrients that the plant needs. And it's a little bit like a drug addict injecting drugs into his bloodstream. We're putting the nutrients it needs at exactly the right rate, and giving it exactly what it loves. And we give it straight into the roots. But the roots are really thin. The roots will take the nutrients that are all around that root. But the root, once it does that, is sitting in just moisture. It's taken the food out of it. But Prof, there's food just over here. Yeah, but the root can't reach there. If the root's over here, it can't suck it. This is where Mike comes in. It's alive, just like ASOS, but they do different things. Think of these like little satellites, and they go between the root and the nutrient, and it's a symbolic thing between the root and the fungi. The root converts what it brings into what it wants. So it keeps bringing to the root the nutrients. Just they keep going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Love it, love it, love it. The third one, Tribus. But in Australia, we can use Bio 1 because we can get behind Aussie products, and it'll cost us half of the price because we don't have to pay for all of the traveling and getting over here and duties and things. And it's got the same bacteria. It is exactly the same product. In fact, it's better because Tribus has a new product called Continuum, and it's not available in Australia yet. And this one is closer to Continuum than Tribus. In fact, it is Continuum. So it's Tribus on steroids. What it does is protect the roots. See, that's why it's got a little cross like a doctor. Protects the roots against everything. And we know that these plants are so susceptible to root rot. Not if you're using this. This takes care of it all. It's a live bacteria, and it will eat all of those little things that want to eat your roots. One of them is called Pythium. It'll eat it. The other thing it does is, like ASOS, it's also a promoter of growth, so helps also with making things big. I would not do a feed without that. These two, when the plant is young, because they're alive, I want to get the colony built in there. So at first I use them on every feed, and then I cut it back to once a month. You get so much out of these products. I'm pretty sure this is like 1 meal. How much? How to use? You use it on soil, cocoa, everything. Between 0.5 and 1 meal per litre. and you have to add it to a diluted nutrient solution. So you save money on the nutrients because you need to make them weaker to use that. How good is that? So I'll show you how to do all of that, and I'll show you how to get the right rates and dosages. So this little grow room update has been a little bit longer, but I owed you one because I got started with it and I got one of my stupid migraines, and I've been out of action for a day and a half. They cost me so much. If anyone else suffers from migraines, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Doesn't matter, I got straight back into it. Let's look here. I promise you, when I put these in here the other day, see that? They were little dots. If you have the light far away, it does nothing. Look how close it is. Look. Yep. Look how close this is. Yep. That's too far. Yep. The lower you bring it, the less it'll do sideways. So yeah. Okay. I'll leave you with that for now. And catch you on the next one.